Hey guys, and welcome to another manga update on my manga D Hunter. In this update, I'm going to be talking about the materials that I use to do D Hunter and Vanguard. I've gotten a lot of emails and messages of people asking what type of materials that I use. So in this video, it's going to be about that. I'm going to do a software video in a separate video. This is pretty much going to be like the materials that I use to do traditional art, because I'm mostly a traditional artist. So I don't really use digital unless I'm rendering or painting or toning. That's the only time I really use digital. If you want to go online, you could buy this stuff online. A lot of the places where I go to is usually Michael's, because they tend to have discounts. Like if you buy 2, you pay 1 price. If you buy like 3, you get the price of 1 and stuff like that. So you gotta look out for those discounts. Those are like the best time to buy it, really. So what I use for sketching is pretty much this Strathmore 100 sheets paper, 9 by 12. Sometimes you could go bigger if you want to. It doesn't really depend on the size, because this is just your sketchbook to do like character designs, any designs that you're looking to do, or even if you're just like looking to draw whatever you want, really. This is, in my opinion, one of the better sketchbooks. It's lightweight, it's easy to use. The only problem with this particular brand is if you're using a lot of people use like the mechanical number 2 pencil. That's what I use, and unfortunately this paper gets really smudgy, so you have to be really careful about that if you're looking to keep your stuff clean, especially if you want to show this sketchbook for professional work. You always want to keep your stuff clean. What I usually suggest, what I tend to do, is I draw out the drawing that I'm doing, and then I immediately try to start inking them, and I scan them, and I use this particular size, the 9 by 12, because it's the size of my scanner, and my scanner this is the best size for my scanner. That's why I take this particular size. I also use this size for the actual manga pages that I draw. So when you're using this stuff, you just have to be careful what type of pencils that you use. Remember that like certain papers, they get really smudgy really quick, and unfortunately this particular brand, even though it's cheap, and in my opinion, and it's the reason why I buy it, because it's cheap and it's easy to use, you have to be aware of the type of material that you use on this paper. Number 2 pencils especially, because a lot of our mechanical pencils that we use to draw, or the regular pencils, are number 2 pencils, and those types of pencils, that particular level of lead smudges really easily, so you have to just be careful how you smudge it. I do believe there is a spray that you could spray on the paper, and this particular spray, I forgot what it's called. This particular spray helps to keep the paper from smudging, or the art from being smudged, so you can use that too, but I tend to just scan it, ink it first, scan it, and like my computer already have like a drawn version of this particular concept that I want to keep from getting dirty, and that's what this is the sketchbook that I use to do all my drawings, all my concepts, sketches. I even use this to plan out any pages like thumbnails and stuff, and that's what I use. Now what I use to actually do my manga is this Bristol board type paper. Now Bristol, the good thing about Bristol is that this particular paper absorbs ink and stuff easily and fast, so it keeps from smudging, so it doesn't smudge as much, so that's why it's good. And it's also high quality paper, so it's really high quality, durable paper. It's gonna last a long time, and in my opinion, it's probably like better. As I said, I use this particular size because of my scanner. Now normally artists don't use this size in paper. This is actually the size that they use to do concept stuff. This particular size isn't good for comics in general. You could use any type of paper really for comics, but if you're looking to get a good quality paper and stuff, this is good too. What artists tends to use is the bigger size, which is like this particular brand, which is like 1117. There's like bigger brands too, and this one is actually this is from Canson. I have this particular paper too. Now the only problem with me is that this is too big for my scanner, and I have to go to a place to actually scan it, pay money and stuff. And when you're starting out, you want to use the resources that you have. You don't want to have too much unnecessary payments that you have to do and stuff. You don't want to pay much to do this particular job. Now, of course, if this is your job, if you're being paid to do this stuff, and then it's good to invest in a bigger scanner and use this particular paper, because this is actually the professional paper that you could use to do your work. Now, I have this paper. I haven't used it as much. It's pretty pricey, like $23. Some of this paper to go for that price. You could also use the leader paper from Japan, which again, you got to pay for that stuff. I tend to go for the Strathmore because it's not only good quality, but it's cheap. And as I said, if you go to Michael's and stuff, Amazon not so much. Usually they don't have like good sales. But if you go to places like Michael's, the actual store, Michael's sometimes, especially when you're getting close to the new school years, when people are going out to buy school supplies, that's actually like the best time to buy paper to do drawings and stuff and sketchbooks, because they always have like these bundle deals and stuff like that going on. You could buy 2 for the price of 1, or 3 for the price of 2, or whatever like that. And you could get really a good amount of like material to use for like low price. And especially when you're starting out, that's like the best type of thing you want to do. Now, if you could afford to pay a little higher and stuff and get more stuff, and you could afford to pay for bigger scanners and stuff like that, and then of course go for the Canson if you want to. But normally for me, I go for this and it works well. Now, you just have to be careful with the scanner and stuff. Sometimes you have to do like a bit of a border between the paper and work inside that border, because anything outside the border is not going to be scanned correctly. So I got to keep everything nest in a frame, which I always draw around these papers. Now for the actual inking, I personally use the microns. This is like probably like the best quality type of pens that you could get to do your drawings traditionally. They're really good quality stuff, especially when they're on Bristol. They work great. They come with different sizes. They're just like very high quality ink, and in my opinion, they're probably like the best in the business, really. And they're really good stuff. They're probably like the highest quality that you could buy. Now, obviously, they could be a little pricey sometimes, especially microns. Microns could be really pricey sometimes. So if you're not looking to pay for something that's too high quality and too expensive, you could also go for the Artist Loft. This is a different brand that is probably like the second best in terms of the markers that I used. This brand is pretty close to Micron. The only problem is that it doesn't last that long as Microns. Microns have a longer lifespan, I guess you could say, on the ink. They don't dry out as quickly as Artist Loft do. And unfortunately, if you're that actually comes into the price when you're buying it. So if you want to buy something that's going to last long and is high quality, that's why I go for the microns. But if you don't want to pay something that high, Artist Loft would probably be your second best. But just know that if you're using Artist Loft, that unfortunately sometimes they don't last as long as the microns. At least from when I've used the Artist Loft, that's what happens to me. That they don't last as long, and usually the quality is not as good as the microns. when the ink comes out. So now again, just remember that just because you get this material doesn't mean you're gonna start drawing like the greatest artist of all time. You still need, just because you use this material, you still need to put in the practice. You still need to get your foot wet in how to use these materials to the best of your ability, and so you want to use the best that you can. And it's best to practice with different materials and to find one that works with you. Pretty much, it works best for you. You don't want to follow what anyone else says. Don't follow what I say just because I think it's best. The only reason I feel that it's best is because I've put in the amount of work and I've gotten experience using these particular material and this different pens and stuff like that. So just be careful. Make sure use your best judgment when you're using these materials, and just have fun. Don't be afraid. You just practice. Practicing is probably the biggest thing that you're going to have to be doing when you're using these materials to find the best material that works for you. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys liked this video. Please share and subscribe. Don't forget to follow the links to my mangas and comics that you could read on Tapastic and Webtoons. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. See you then.